You're listening to Aviation Marketing Hangar Flying, the community for the best sales and marketing professionals in the aviation industry. You can't learn to fly just from a book. You learn from other pilots who know the tools, the skills, and the territory. Your hosts, John and Paula Williams, are your sales and marketing test pilots. They take the risks for you and share strategies, relevant examples, hacks, and how-tos. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes so you won't miss a thing.
Welcome to Aviation Marketing Hangar Flying, episode number 75, Aviation Marketing for Charter Companies. I'm Paula Williams.
I'm John Williams.
And we are ABCI, and ABCI's mission is
to help all you ladies and gentlemen out there in the aviation world sell more products and services.
Absolutely, and our mission today is to help those of you who are in charter or who have anything to do with charter sell more hours of charter and sell more trips and make more money, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So if you have comments on today's episode or anything else, you can submit them on any of our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and so on. Or you can submit them using the hashtag AvGeekMarketing, and we will find them, and we will do our best to reply to every tweet, post, or mention, right?
Of course.
Okay. So, and once again, today we're going to talk about our big idea, our three big ideas, and then we're going to talk about shout outs to people in the industry who are doing really cool things, and we are also going to talk about what's up with the insiders, and the insiders being ABCI clients and others who are doing cool things. They're always up to something interesting. So, big ideas for charter. We're going to go through the whole process from the perspective of a charter company. Phase 1, advertising and prospecting, and give some ideas on how you can do better advertising and prospecting. Phase 2, building credibility and closing sales. As we know, sometimes these things don't close on the first call. It takes a little bit of time to build those relationships and make things work, especially in a business-to-business situation where you're selling to companies or flight departments or travel departments and other things like that, right? And third, resells, recaptures, and referrals. They say the money in aviation is made in phase 3.
The notorious they.
They. But in this case, they are right. Repeat business is really what keeps aviation profitable for the most part for a lot of these companies, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so let's get into it and start with, of course, this is our diagram if you're seeing this online. There is a 3-part diagram. In a lot of industries, or if you look in a marketing textbook, you're going to see something that looks like a funnel. Ours looks more like a fat pipe. That's fat all the way down, because we do want to put equal emphasis on, a lot of people put all of their time and money in advertising and prospecting, or phase 1. And then their funnel gets skinnier as you go down to phase 2, and then skinnier still as you go into phase 3. We'd really like to see that funnel remain as fat as possible, and we'd really like for you to spend as much time and energy on phase 2 and 3 as you do getting new customers, because of the particulars of the aviation industry. You really make your money on repeat business, and business doesn't close right away. So, if you narrow your funnel too fast, you're going to lose a lot of customers.
Yes.
Okay. So, phase 1, advertising and prospecting, of course, we start at the beginning, and that is figuring out how to get customers to notice you for the first time. Okay, so the first thing we like to do is what we call a customer avatar, or a customer profile. And in this case, for charter organizations, your customer is a passenger, right?
Well, ultimately.
There are other types of customer avatars that we're going to talk about as well, but your most important one, or your first one, or the most basic one, we can put it that way, is a passenger. You disagree?
Well, I mean, you may sell charter to company X who will decide what passengers fly.
Right.
So it's actually not selling to the passengers, selling to the company.
Yeah, so you may be
But
selling...
ultimately, they're going to customers, the passengers, whoever they are, will judge you on your performance.
Exactly. So you may be selling to, let's say, a travel director of a company, but your eventual customer is going to be somebody whose butt is on your airplane.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So customer avatars will start with passengers. But the first thing I want to mention is that there are a lot of misunderstandings about high net worth and ultra high net worth people, right?
Yes, there are.
And if you're in the charter industry, a lot of the folks who are working in the charter industry may not be high net worth or ultra high net worth themselves, and they have kind of a weird misconception or attitude about their passengers, about their own passengers. And we've seen this actually quite a bit in some of the industries that we work with, where the people who are servicing the plane, the people who are flying the plane, the people who are doing the marketing are not in that category, and they feel kind of weird talking to high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals. Is that fair to say?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So a couple of things I'm going to recommend, and this is for you if you own the company and you're making the aviation marketing and advertising decisions, or if you work in a company, buy one of these books for every one of your people. The No BS Marketing to the Affluent book by Dennis Kennedy. It has a lot of statistics and demographics about affluent people that you may find really surprising, right? Most of them are, first generation, high net worth individuals. Most of them, work really hard for their money. Most of them are not exactly what you would think. There's a lot more Warren Buffett than Paris Hilton, I guess I would say, in this group of people, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Another great resource is Lori White's luxury marketing blog. She talks a lot about the difference between media about the high net worth versus media for the high net worth.
And there's a big difference there.
There's a big difference between the two. Most of the marketing that you think of, is almost making fun, I would say, of high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals, like the Robin Leach lifestyles of the rich and famous, that kind of thing. That is really targeted toward middle class
who want to be high net worth
or lower, that want to be high net worth,
right,
or that want to spend their spare time gaping or gawking at the high net worth and ultra high net worth people. So you don't want to mistake the two, and you want to be in the right category, or the way that you think about people, especially the way you think about your customers, comes across in the way that you talk to them. It comes across in the way you treat them, and you don't want to make them feel awkward or funny because you feel awkward or funny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, enough about that. All right, so let's talk about some of these folks. Of course, you've got the celebrities with the cute little dogs. That's kind of the stereotype of what we're thinking of, the Paris Hilton type, right? But more often, you have regular working folks. We're just coming off of an election season where a lot of the folks that we know in charter have been flying these guys around, right?
Yeah, that includes my son. He's out there flying, well, not now, but he's out there flying those guys throughout the time that happened.
Exactly. So candidates who are campaigning for office, they do this every 2 to 4 years. And so this is a really steady market for you. It's over for the time being, perhaps, but you may be thinking about 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, how can you position yourself with the people who are up and coming in the political parties in your area to be the one that they call for those kinds of services, right?
Yes.
Okay. Another one, light manufacturing or other types of industry, especially when they're far away from airports. those are great customers for you because they need to get people, parts, technicians potentially. They need to make decisions. Their salespeople and other folks, service people, they need to get them places faster than the airlines can do that, or more efficiently than the airlines can do that.
And to smaller places.
Exactly. Farmers and ranchers. There's a lot of money in farming and ranching in some parts of the country and some parts of the world where charter aviation is a really big deal, a really big part of their business. So depending on where you're located, you probably already specialize in one or more of these customer types. Another customer type is families with kids and dogs and whatever, that want to go on vacation. They want to spend more quality time. They get very little vacation time and they want to make the most of it with their families and spend that time enjoying their vacation, not sitting in an airport somewhere.
And a family of 4 or 5 and the right charter company can just about be happy with the very little cost increase in pay for the flight, and have no TSA lines and nobody else in the airplane, and go where they want, when they want.
Right.
They like it.
So all of these are kind of growing markets that you want to think about appealing to or specializing in. So, as you're putting your ads together, you want to think about 3 things, of course, and these depend on who your customer is. So you're going to have different ads depending on what customer profile you're writing for, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So every great campaign or every great ad has 3 things.
Well, great. At least successful ones.
Right. Have 3 things.
Yep. Absolutely. It's LOP, list, offer, and presentation.
The list, the offer, right, and the presentation. LOP. LOP. I hadn't thought about that, but that's a good way to remember it. So, you want to think about those 3 things for each ad that you write. So in a lot of cases, if your user profile or your customer avatar is families who want to go on vacation, then you want to think about destinations that are in your sweet spot or in your geographical location that's maybe too far to drive, not far enough to, or not really convenient to the airlines. Think about, like Hilton Head or Muir Woods, or, places that are not terribly convenient to a major airport.
And even if they are, you get your own schedule, and you get rid of long lines, and you have a car waiting for you at the airplane, and it's just really a nice change of pace.
Exactly.
Slow down and enjoy your family.
Right. So, that's a great way to position your ad, is to set up a destination. If you're advertising to families with children, of course the Disney resorts are always great. Those are usually near airports, intentionally, but there's a lot of places that are off the beaten path. Think about what's in your circle and, what would be really good for your customers as a great charter flight candidate or a great vacation opportunity. Here's a couple of other things that are taking into account that customer avatar. This one is for Special Services Corporation. They are near Clemson University. So one thing that they had noticed is that the Clemson booster clubs, a lot of the away games are within their circle. They're really great flights, and you get a bunch of parents and other folks that want to go to an away game. They can charter a plane, possibly even cheaper than they can individually buy tickets.
Right.
And have a much better experience going to an away game than they would driving or flying.
Sure, because they got different sized airplanes. They can fill it up and charge you one price, and everybody splits it.
Exactly. So think about that. The universities and other folks in your area that have away games and booster clubs and things like that. Can you put a package together that would be ideal for that group of folks? Okay. Another idea. If your folks are business people, so that second category we talked about, the light manufacturing or, in sales or services and things like that, are you more productive at your client's office or at the airport? We help you spend more of your time where you need and want to be, and that really helps some of those salespeople or service people sell this to their boss, right?
Yeah, these guys had a really great example mid last year where somebody left they charged with somebody who went 4 different places all in the same day, all the way up to Montana and back, and home in time for dinner.
Exactly. So, those stories and, those messages really resonate with business people. Okay, and then, here's a couple of other ads that maybe connect with some of the concerns that people have. If you know that a lot of your customers or potential customers are now flying with the majors, the major charter companies, and you're a smaller charter company, you can talk about the differences. Flying with one of the big charters, ask your next charter pilot how long he's worked for the company. And SSC, of course, their pilots stick around with them for an average of 8 to 10 years. Who would you rather have flying your family? Somebody who has a different job every year or every few months? Or would you rather have somebody who is going to be, that you're going to see every time or, frequently?
Sure, you get to know he almost seems like your pilot after you've done this enough times.
Exactly. And, they treat their pilots right. So, they're not burning them out, which has become a concern with a lot of these airlines and larger charter organizations. Testimonials are always good. I'm very comfortable engaging SSC for charter services and absolutely recommend their services to others. Cliff Jenkins of Greenville, South Carolina, that's a human being with a name and a location, that is on record saying, how much he appreciates Special Services Corporation, which is not surprising because they are a fantastic company.
But that's a good example of a testimonial. So it's the kind of thing you want to ask, just ask for them. People will give them to you.
Absolutely. And, again, the point of view for this ad is somebody who is chartering the airplane. They see a luxurious interior. They see that somebody else was really comfortable with the experience. This should really, serve that purpose very well. Here's a couple of other ads. If your people are road warriors, right?
Oh, heaven forbid.
There are 675,000 miles of road in Texas. We can help you skip some of them, or most of them. So, if your customer profile is somebody that spends a lot of time on the road for business or pleasure, with the kids in the back seat, that can be an awful lot of road. Another one that solves a common problem, flying to and from Mexico, skip the lines and stop in Santa Teresa, as opposed to El Paso, right?
Yeah, they've got a lot shorter lines for the customs guys there in Santa Teresa.
Exactly, and this is for Francis Aviation, another really cool charter company located right on the border. So this suits their purpose very well. Another thing you might like to do is use maps. That helps people really visualize, okay, where are you located? Where am I located? Where do I want to go? And how do I get from here to there really well?
And in this case, that circle actually will engage almost exactly coincides with the edge of the circle for another one of our clients up in California, who's got a place that people can go for vacations.
Absolutely. And another one of our clients in South Carolina, SSC. So, between the three of them, I think we got the country pretty much coast to coast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good stuff. And, that really does help your customer visualize where do I want to go, and is this a good way to get there? Because they may have never considered charter before, right?
Yes, it's something that more and more people are considering.
Okay, so all of this talk has been about passengers, or PAX, as they're called in the industry. But there are other customer avatars. Of course, there are the charter brokers that you want to do business with. How you market to them basically is by having all of your boxes checked. The Argus and the Wyvern and the nice photography of your airplanes. And what else are charter brokers looking for?
Well, they need to know they got pristine aircraft, experienced pilots, and experienced firms that are, Wyvern and
Argus and all of the other ratings that they may require. And
those are all the preferred companies to work with.
Right. So, most of the charter brokers have a checklist that they want to go through, make sure that you have a safety record of X number of years, that your pilots have X number of years or hours of experience, all of the ratings and other things that you need, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So charter brokers, the main thing that they're looking for is conveniently being able to check off all their boxes and get the flight booked, right?
Conveniently.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Yep, exactly. Convenient to them, of course.
Of course.
So if you have all that information in a way that's convenient for them, ideally having it on your website, maybe you have a page for charter brokers so that all of the things that they keep asking you about are right there listed, so that they have all that information that can make their lives easier, which makes them more likely to use you, right?
Yes.
Okay. Another customer that you might have are aircraft owners. A lot of the charter organizations that we work with are also aircraft management organizations that put their customers' airplanes on their charter certificate so that their aircraft owners can make money when they're not using their airplane. So as an aircraft owner, what are you looking for, John?
Well, I want somebody that's going to take care of the thing and hangar it because it's very easy for thing, and I'm not talking just about maintenance. Almost anybody can perform FAA maintenance on aircraft, but it's the cleanliness of the operation, the professionalism, take care of the inside, because sometimes either wittingly or not, passengers can at least dirty up, if not damage the interior.
Right. And, of course, those aircraft owners are varying degrees of, shall we say, detail-oriented?
Well, and they should be. They spend a lot of money on these things.
Exactly. And I know, you, for example, and I don't know if this is typical, like to talk directly to the maintenance personnel, and you like to get in there, get your hands dirty occasionally. So.
Well, that's not typical.
Is that not typical?
No.
Okay. Well, that's probably a relief to the maintenance organizations out there.
No, the majority of people that have aircraft they want managed or managed for broker operations is they are looking at the ROI.
Mm-hmm. As the main thing, and also that they'll baby their aircraft as much as they do.
Well, and that's part of the ROI because they have to resell it sometimes. They're going to stay in the game, and they can't resell something that's been mistreated on the inside and not repaired.
Right. And, the logbooks have to be pristine and detailed and...
Of course.
All that stuff. All right. Okay. Another customer avatar, event organizers. So, maybe those booster clubs for the college, other people that travel quite a bit, or organized groups of people that travel quite a bit. People that organize cruises, people that organize seminars and other kinds of events. Those are the kind of people that you want referring your charter organization because they know that their customers are going to have a great experience with you, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. So, avatars actually used somewhat interchangeably with profiles, but profile kind of sounds a little cold. And I actually got this from Noah Fleming's book, Evergreen. He started using the word avatar. And, when you think of avatar, you think of a character in a game or whatever that represents a particular set of people, So if you create an avatar, then your avatar for event organizers might be Mary Jane at X company that organizes golf outings, and her motivation is, she wants her customers very well taken care of, and she has some very specific characteristics and things that she's particular about. And so if you think of Mary Jane when you're writing your ads, you end up writing them in a more warm and personal way than if you're just thinking of event organizers as a category of people, right?
Okay.
The mind game. It's a mind trick. So.
I guess, and that's cool.
Mind trick of the day. Okay. All right. So phase 2, building credibility and closing sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? People are not ready yet. Doesn't that drive you crazy?
Successfully.
We do it successfully. That's really helpful, John.
Well, you put people in a holding pattern, as we have described before, and once they've entered into this, they stay in it until they either say yes or no.
Right, exactly. And Or in the case of charter flights, a lot of times it's not yet, or not this time, or not this trip.
Which is why they're in the holding pattern.
Exactly. So what we mean by a holding pattern is just like when you're holding for a runway, where...
No.
Okay.
You're not instrument rated yet.
Okay.
This is like holding over a VOR or holding over a fix someplace, and I tell you to enter holding, you do a 1 minute out, a 2 minute turn, or a 1 minute outbound leg, and then you do another one, and you sit there and you run around the racetrack until you get cleared to continue or the approach wherever you happen to be.
Right.
So
exactly. Well,
this is like a direct entry. You go into holding, you do basically a turn around and say, okay, fine. Instead of a 1 minute outbound leg, we had a 1 week hold on the outbound leg until you do something like an email or a postcard or whatever, and then you turn around and come back down and you do another.
Right. So, not to make this too complicated, this is actually a fairly simple thing. If people aren't ready yet, you want to have a series of interactions with them that are repetitive but don't seem repetitive, right?
And obviously, if you're going to do this in your firm of any size, you're going to have some sort of CRM, customer relationship management system. Without it, and a lot of customers, this is just more work than the guy can handle, or
Exactly.
even a woman.
Right. So, you want to have something in your tickler system to say, that you're going to repeat contacting, these people personally on a fairly regular basis. But you're also going to have some automated things that happen, like, maybe a newsletter that goes out, or a reminder to you to check out their Facebook page or their LinkedIn page, and maybe leave a comment on something they've written, just so that they remember you and have a reason to bring you back to the front of their mind, so that when they are ready to book their trip, or to start working with another charter organization, or whatever change has happened that causes them to be ready to work with you, they remember you and they don't go to somebody else.
Yeah, it's like putting the signboard up. You want to make sure the signboard is where they can see it every once in a while.
Right.
And remember who you are and what you do and why they should call you.
Right. So some of the things you might include in your holding pattern would be phone calls, events. They may be in the Rotary Club or the Chamber of Commerce, or an aviation group that you get together with on a regular basis. You might want to send a physical newsletter. Snail mail actually works really well for this because it has a higher credibility with the kind of decision makers that we're usually talking about than electronic media, right?
Yeah, and it has to be something that gets past their gatekeeper, but that's a whole other story.
Right. And, emails work, they're really easy to do, but they're also very overused. So we really recommend kind of a mix of media, because you want some low-cost ones, and you want some easy ones, and you want some harder ones, and you want some that are really super effective. So.
And then with the CRM, you can mark which ones worked, and for the next time what you should try more of.
Right. So if nobody's opening your emails, then send a printed newsletter. Or if nobody's responding to your Facebook, try email. Or if nobody's responding to your email, try Facebook. Whatever the...
whatever.
Right. Exactly. Leave a lot of voicemails. There's nothing wrong with that. But, you may also want to follow up with an email. You want to make sure you're using multiple media, because not everybody uses everything, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. So that's phase 2. You want to keep them in the holding pattern, and you want to have a really good holding pattern that you're improving all the time. Phase 3, resales, recaptures, and referrals. Now, we said that this is where the money is made, right?
That's what we said. That's what we said that they said.
Absolutely. So how do you make sure that people will remember you and make sure that they had a good experience? The best way that I can think of is with a satisfaction survey. And this might not actually be something that you send to them. This might be something that you call them the day after their trip and actually have a human being talk to them. And very conversationally, not in a scripted manner, but there are some things that you're going to want to know. Did they enjoy the trip? Was there anything that bothered them? Would they recommend you to their friends? Do they have any other trips coming up?
And this is all well and good, but don't hound them for it.
Right, exactly. But a friendly call the day after their trip, I think, is really the most effective way to make this happen.
Or even a card when they sign the bill, when they come into the FBO. Just a 3-question thing. How could we have done better?
Exactly. So that's helpful. And, you also want to put them back in your holding pattern. You want to make sure that you're sending them newsletters and you're sending them anniversary cards or birthday cards or, your specials this month, your empty legs, other things that may be of interest to them to get their business a second, third, fourth, fifth, 12th, 20th time, right?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. All right, so next steps. If you don't know what to say next to them, if you're looking for things to send, if you want to have some more customer testimonials, you want to have some more success stories, you want to have more stories about maybe some of the destinations that their clients go and other kinds of things like that, our content marketing service or subscription is really helpful for that, because what we do is we look at what are some really good stories that we can tell about your company that you can put on your blog, that you can send in those newsletters, that you can send in those emails, so that it's a little more substantial than just, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? You really want to have those be interesting and useful information. So our content marketing subscription is really good for that. And you might want to consider that. And I think that works really well for charter companies. Anything else?
I think that probably covers the marketing aspects.
Okay, great. So charter companies, hopefully that answers your questions. And we'd love to hear what else you'd like to know, or what you've tried that's worked, what you've tried that hasn't worked. What frustrates you, what has worked for you about your marketing. So Shoutouts this month, we got a really great guest post from John Shivatal, and I have no idea if I'm saying that correctly. We've been connected on social media forever, but I've never actually spoken with John in person, so I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I apologize if I just butchered that. I probably did. But we were talking about social media, and he was telling me all of these fabulous things about Google+. And he's one of those people that really is what you'd call a power user, really knows his stuff and knows what he's talking about. And so he offered to write a guest post for our audience, and I took him up on it because I thought, this is a really potentially powerful tool, but I certainly can't do it justice because it's, the ones that we've been using the most in the last year have been, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and LinkedIn. So, Google Plus is one that's kind of slid off our radar, and I know there have been some changes to it lately. So we're really happy that he did that. And we'll link to that in our show notes. So please go check out that article and see what you think. Let us know what you think, and carry on from there. What's up with the insiders? A lot of, actually, this one was Casey's idea, Casey Dixon. She is our scholarship winner this year, one of our scholarship winners. And, we were talking about how in the aviation industry, there's kind of this phenomenon of women in aviation. They have an organization, Women in Aviation, and Women in Aviation International, and Women in Business Aviation. But those groups tend to kind of preach to the choir. But wouldn't it be cool if we put together a forum discussion about and by women in aviation that is for everyone else? A lot of people may be uncomfortable with working with women, or are afraid that they're going to ask the wrong question and get in trouble, or whatever the situation is. So we really wanted to create an environment with some of the most successful women in different fields of aviation. And you look at this panel, and it's like everything you can imagine in aviation. We've got Lillian Tam with Avicor Aviation. She does valuations of aviation companies, so a very specific consulting business. You've got
been a long time in the field too.
Yeah, I've been a long time in the field and seen a lot of change in the way that women are perceived, and also the way that women work in this industry. Catherine Creedy, she's a journalist, writes for a lot of different publications and things like that. She writes a lot about women and minorities in aviation. So, she's got a really unique perspective. Joni Schultz with Whirly Girls. She's the president of Whirly Girls, and she does a lot of mentorship of young women helicopter pilots, which is really, really cool. And, so of course she's got a unique perspective. Mary Kirby, Runway Girl. She has got the passenger experience perspective. Bené Wilson, aviation queen, also a journalist, and with another unique perspective. She also runs, I think, the mentorship program for the National Association of National Association of Black Journalists. So a very unique perspective there. Amanda Ferraro, she's a Gulfstream captain with American Family Insurance, and also a broker with Bloomer DeVere, and does ISBOW safety audits. So she's got 3 perspectives all by herself. And Hope Harkey, with an organization, PSR Aviation. They do recruiting for airlines and charter organizations and things like that. So once again, a very unique perspective, of course, because she's in the recruiting side. So, of course, she's recruiting both women and men, and knows what you can ask and what you can't ask, and all the legal ins and outs of all of those things.
Yeah, of the HR side of things.
The HR side of things, exactly. So this is going to be a really interesting panel, and we're really hoping that men come and ask questions, and also that young people come, because there are probably a lot who are wondering, how is this profession for women? And John, I know you've been in the profession for a really long time, and you've seen a lot of change.
Yes and yes.
Right. So
you make it sound like I'm ancient or something.
No, but you've been in the aviation industry for longer than I have, and I've been.
Yeah, I know, but I started when I was 9. I mean, not
exactly.
many people do that anymore.
That's true. So
but this should be very interesting, because as I grew up through aviation, I don't think I ever saw a female other than maybe a receptionist somewhere at the airport, but there was the women just weren't interested, or for whatever reason weren't in aviation.
Right.
And now they're coming into it, and I think it's a good thing. Absolutely.
So we've got everybody from A&P mechanics to professionals to pilots to HR people. So, this is a really great opportunity. And, what we're wanting to do is have people ask questions that they're afraid to ask in real life. And you can do that by Twitter, or you can, submit questions ahead of time, so that we'll answer. And these women are, some of the smartest people I know.
And well experienced in their areas.
Exactly. And can tell you all about their experiences, good, bad, and ugly, and how we can all get along without any of the uncomfortableness or other things that happen.
Oh, yeah, you can ask these ladies anything, and they'll be okay with it.
Oh yeah, these are the most straight-thinking women that I can think of, as far as.
And anyway, you're moderating, so
if
it get past you, it's a good thing.
We'll keep it under control, but it's going to be a really fun session. Once again, this is a proposal that we submitted to NBAA, and I'm just really excited that this group of women was interested in doing something like this. And whether or not NBAA accepts our proposal, I think this group of women is going to have to put together some kind of a program and put this show on the road, because there's got things to say that need to be said. So, if you know any of the powers that be at NBAA, and if you have any pull with that organization, this is going to be such a great panel discussion that I think they really would benefit from having this happen this year. So that's my pitch. So go sell more stuff.
Yeah, America needs the business.
Absolutely.
So
even if
say it's Zig Ziglar.
Right, whether you're selling an idea or selling anything else. Go ahead.
Or he did anyway. Yeah, I mean, everybody's in sales.
Absolutely.
If you don't realize it, think about trying to convince somebody something and realize that you're selling.
Exactly. So the people who are good at it are the people who embrace the dark side, as we say, right?
Sort of.
Okay. So subscribe to our podcast, Aviation Marketing Hanger Flying, on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever fine podcasts are heard. And please do leave us a rating. Those ratings really mean a lot to us because that has an effect on how many people see this podcast, and we really think that the industry is better off when people do a better job of sales and marketing. We really need to do a better job of convincing the rest of the world that aviation is worthwhile and is healthy and thriving, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Ciao.
Thanks for joining us for Aviation Marketing Hanger Flying, the best place to learn what really works in sales and marketing in the aviation industry. Remember to subscribe on iTunes and leave a rating.